of course, the backdrop of this as well, now, Steve, is the Super League might be back. Um, what's your take on this? Because obviously a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are frustrated, a lot of people are out virtue signaling again about the Super League. It's going to kill football. Football's over. What's your thoughts on their kind of PR today that they're going to launch it back and actually to put it up on the screen? They're talking about this time there being 50 clubs, relegation, open ended, so more teams can get into it. What's your thoughts on the return of the Super League?
I'm just not a fan of it, to be honest. I didn't like it first time round. It's just not for me. But football at the minute, it's not football anymore, is it? You know what I mean? I find that most people these days are talking about everything other than football. Nobody sits there and talks about the game, the players, how it was played, who scored the goals. Everyone's talking about, everything other than football, Super Leagues, charges, rape cases, fucking all sorts of nonsense. And it's like, it's just everything to have a go at each other, pick on each other's clubs. Your owners are better than my owners. I don't like him. He's shit. It's just all mad. So this Super League is just another load of madness that's come out this week. I mean, I heard the guy's statement saying that certain clubs were getting left behind, established clubs and all that. I don't know what it means. And, it is what it is. None of us have got a say in that either. You know what I mean? We can riot again and probably get it cancelled, but I don't know where it's come from. I don't know. I thought it was all put to bed when everybody shut it down, but it's clearly raising its head again, isn't it?
Well, I look at it this way. It's not something I want per se. I'm never against change, though. And let's see how this kind of goes. I get the feeling I think what's really important to remember is so far today, this is pure PR from the Super League. Pure PR. They definitely have an agenda against the Premier League because the Premier League is so powerful financially. And that's just because I've been saying it for 10 years, with the best league in the world. People love. I've even seen fans whose first club's a Premier League club still go, nah, La Liga's better, Serie A is better. It isn't. If it was better, they would be doing what we're doing. But we're run very well, whether people like it or not. Not perfectly, but it's run very well. It's marketed brilliantly, and it's a compelling watch. The Premier League is a compelling watch week in, week out, and it's worth money. Teams like West Ham are now richer than teams like AC Milan, and the European clubs want something to try and compete with it. What's really interesting, though, is they also know that without the big Premier League teams, there isn't going to be the global audience to give them the money they want in the long term anyway. So they actually need the English teams involved for the Super League to work, but they want the Super League so they've got more money. And I still get the feeling that in the end, some kind of hybrid version is going to be made. You'll end up getting UEFA getting involved at some point, and I think something like this will happen, and it will become the new Champions League. I think that's what will end up happening.
They're changing the format of the Champions League anyway, aren't they, to be a league? So
they're gonna. That's what they're gonna do in the end. I don't see this happening personally, but then at the same time, am I 100% not against it? I said at the time, as long as there's jeopardy, as long as anybody could work their way into it, and you can get relegated from it if you're no good, then I'm not going to protest it, and I'm not going to scream and say it's the wrong thing to do. Equally, I will definitely if the English teams are in it, I'm definitely making content in relation to it. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and start saying it's killing football and then do a match preview and a match reaction and whatever else to games in it. I'm not, again, like I said earlier about being, I don't say Glazer out and they're money hungry and they're killing the club and then go and buy a Man United shirt. I can't do that. I won't do the same with this. But I just don't see it happening personally. The Premier League clubs can't do it. The Premier League clubs have signed an accord and have signed an agreement to say they will not participate in any leagues outside of the Premier League. This would have to, the only way this works is if it conjoins with UEFA or replaces UEFA as the main European competition and sits alongside the Premier League in that way. Then, if the money's right, the Premier League will sanction it and they'll go and do it. We all know if the money's right, then they'll go and do it. But there's just no way the English teams are doing this and leaving. There's just none. There's absolutely no need for them to either. Because I still think if you get all the top European teams in a league versus the Premier League, we will still get more views globally than they do. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was a little disappointing to see it today. I think there's a lot of panic from people. But if you actually look, there's nothing being proposed. No one signed up to it. It's purely a PR move for them saying, we're thinking of doing this again. And football, they're going down the route of they're looking at all the mistakes they made before, and the way they're wording it: football's being killed, football being destroyed by money. So what we're going to do is throw loads of money at it.
It's like I can't afford to go to watch Man City home away in the league and then fly off to the San Siro one week and then come back and fly off to Madrid the next week and all that. So I think it'll kill a lot of fans like that. You know what I mean? Fans in them countries will probably go and take your place in them countries when they're watching it, but it just becomes too expensive all around for everybody. And it's just, I don't know. It's just sad. I mean, there'll be some people out there who want it and they'll love it and that. But I just think the majority of the working class people, the ones that are 9 to 5 and just enjoy going to the football, them European trips, and it's just going to be beyond it.
Well, this is, again, the crazy part about it is they actually wanted good PR. They should be talking to fan groups. If they turned around and said, listen, because the money for the original Super League was ridiculous. It was like 500 million a season for every club that was in it or something. If they turned around and said, listen, we'll do this, but then we'll make the travel cheap for fans. So essentially, I'm making this number off the top of my head. They could easily do this, working with airlines and hotels, and say, okay, so if you're a Man City fan, you're in this competition, you're obviously going to have 7, 8, 9, 10 away European games per year. But the way it works is your flight, your accommodation, and your ticket price is £100 a head. We'll use the billions that are being pumped into it to make it accessible for fans. You'd actually never do it. But that's the stupid part about it. That is how you get buy-in. But they won't do it. And that's one thing about the Bundesliga, which is amazing. Over there, like, you can get for like 40 euros, pays for like your train fare to go from one side of the country to another, and your ticket for the game. Like, the way they look after their fans is absolutely astonishingly good. And I do look at the way that even the Premier League, UEFA, all of them work, is that nothing's ever about making it cheaper for fans. Everything's always about making it more expensive. You look at Spurs, they built them that brand new, brilliant stadium, and then they're charging them for the privilege of it. And it's almost a case of, I get they've got to make their money back, but if you don't start winning things and you don't start producing brilliant football, all you've essentially done is got your fans to pay for a bigger stadium that they still don't win anything in. If you're going to create something like the Super League, you've got to incentivize fans to get behind it. And if you make their football viewing experience and travel cheaper, you put more money essentially in their back pockets, they're going to love you for it. The fact that they have all they care about is making money, that is really the problem here, because money rules all the time. And eventually, I don't think it's more than 20 years away. If they keep doing things like this, more and more of the working class are going to get pushed away from football. There's no doubt about it in my mind, because it's just you can't sustain it. So they've got to do something, but I doubt they will. There's a few super chats here. The first one says, name me one billionaire who has become rich the right way. Boogeyman, that is going to depend upon your view of what the right way is. Successful people in general nowadays are not liked by anybody. Even in your own communities, there'll be someone that starts a business and everyone's, oh, well done you. Then he starts rolling around in a nice car and everybody starts to hate on him. So I don't know what you mean by that. Equally, what are you getting at? What is your point behind that, Boogeyman? I want to know, my friend. Make the Super League happen. I'm sick and tired of American football, hockey being put on a pedestal. The MLS is nowhere near as fun as attend. Why do you want the Super League to happen, though, my friend? I want to know. What's so broken with football now as to not change it? What's your view?
You seen the reaction last time? It was literally shut down in days. People didn't want it, and I missed a cup final because of it. Because I went back to Man City and handed my ticket back for the Carabao Cup final because I was against it, and then ended up missing a cup final, which to me, to miss a cup final is bad, but it was about what you believe in at the time. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes football can get you, it's the best game in the world and we all love it, but sometimes football can drag you into a dark place. And then when that Super League, you're seeing a lot of the fans, man. The fan power was every single club came out, and that's what's going to happen. I don't ever think that I think these businessmen, they sit around a table and they believe it's a great idea, and they look at the numbers and they think, bloody hell, this is brilliant and we could all make a few quid. But they underestimate the power of the fans, and the fans came out and rattled the core of them, and they'll never get it over the line, man. They'll never get it over the line.
No, I don't think they will. I agree with you 100% on that.